everything about me is awful. For example, I never eat 2 pieces of someone's birthday cake. Never. Oreo cheesecake, red velvet, Fudgy the Whale from Carvel, pick your poison, I stop at 1. That's the positive. The negative list is a little longer. I've had what folks might refer to as a rough patch. No, they would definitely refer to it as a rough patch. A year ago, I had a development deal with Comedy Central after a clip of me eviscerating a heckler while performing at The Stand in New York City went viral and gave me tons of buzz. This drunken douchebag made a comment about me while I was on stage performing, and rather than doing what I had done in the past, which was either ignore it and move on, or acknowledge what he said and giggle flirtatiously. But there was just something about the way he said it. No thanks. It was in response to the setup I had for a joke where I asked my then-girlfriend if she wanted to have sex. It was somewhat common for a drunken douchebag to interrupt my routine to interject with a "no thanks." Normally, I can take myself into some semblance of humanity when an audience member says this, but this guy had no humanity. There was no smile, just a glare followed by a big sip of his big beer. So I went on the offensive. His clothes, his haircut, his beer, his speech pattern. There was not one fiber of this prick that I did not vanquish into thin air through my onslaught of insults. It got so bad that he actually stood up after about 30 seconds, and then a big hush came through the crowd and things got really tense. It was in this moment, this sacred moment between me and this hulking anonymous heckler, that I capped my evisceration by stating, "Let's go, bitch!" The bouncer of the club and several audience members stood up to intervene, but the damage was done. It was as if every fatality available in every Mortal Kombat video game had been delivered all at once, turning this man into ash. As if this was not enough of a victory, someone had recorded the entire interaction, and 36 million views later, I had a development deal with Comedy Central and was on my way to be an actual adult with actual recurring income. And then, depression set in. In retrospect, it's as clear as day. Having disposable income gave me a license to start drinking a lot in an attempt to feel comfortable while socializing with a lot of people in the entertainment industry whom I looked up to. Drinking and depression do not mix well. Luckily for me, there was no rock bottom moment. I didn't end up in jail. I didn't get into some tragic car crash. No, in some ways, my journey to the bottom was more pathetic. I just stopped. I know, trust me, I know. I had reached the mountaintop and stopped caring. Even though millions of people would have killed to be in my shoes. Yeah, that's the kicker about depression. It doesn't care about your goals. It just wants to feed on your happiness and make you question everything about who you are and what you want. I was just sad. There were deadlines that I missed. Dates with the ex that I missed. Phone calls and texts that I missed. I had become so self-consumed that all I really wanted to do was lie on my bed and watch reruns of The Simpsons. If you're thinking about reasons why I self-sabotaged and you have a clear answer as to what happened to and within me, you're right. It's probably all those reasons. What I can tell you for sure is that I had lost something on the inside and had to find it. As with most people in recovery, I reached out to all the people who I was grateful to know and apologized for not being there enough. How much they meant to me. It was brutal. Cathartic, but brutal, nonetheless. My girlfriend had become my ex-girlfriend after I missed her birthday party due to passing out drunk after an afternoon stupor with a couple New York comics. That next morning, woof. It was the last drink I ever had. Within a week of sobriety, I was feeling better. On the road, too. Yeah, you've heard it all before. But you've heard it because it's true. After a month of sobriety, my ex agreed to meet me for coffee. I apologized and cried. She accepted but did not cry. We both knew we were not getting back together. Before she could escape, I asked her what she thinks I should do. She knew me well as anyone. I was eager for advice. What's the best job you ever had? I know why she asked me that. I've had this recurring dream. It's not the same every time, but it's not that different either. When I was a senior in high school, I was a camp counselor for the very camp that I went to as a kid. Summer going into college. I was 17 and had the whole world ahead of me. Everything was anticipation. The reality of life was obsolete that summer. The recurring dreams were brief snapshots from me as a camp counselor that summer. Nothing that memorable in the dreams, but that's just because the whole experience is the feeling I'm still chasing, that rush of feeling like the future is infinite. And then you graduate college and it all comes crashing back into reality. Fear, insecurity, feeling like a box that the entertainment industry was trying to exploit. Sure, all of it led to my drinking and depression. But the rush of the chase you feel when you're trying to catch the future was gone, and it was clawing my insides out. Eureka! I had kind of figured myself out. But so what? I couldn't go back in time. I couldn't be 17 again. I was fresh off my 30th birthday and had soured the most significant relationships in my life. I've never been into astrology. I know a lot of girls are. I'm not. But when I got that text, I'll be damned if it wasn't some kind of sign. The text simply said, "Can you babysit my niece?" If that's not a sign, what the hell is? Yeah, I wasn't traveling back in time to the summer before college, but being asked to take care of a child for the night to ensure they're okay, I'll take it. I'll take it in spades. I responded with yes, using 5 S's and 7 exclamation points. Don't get too excited, my ex said. She can be a little devil. My ex was tasked with watching her niece for the week while her sister and her brother-in-law were in New Orleans for Jazz Fest. On this particular night, my ex was offered the chance to help manage an event for a famous singer and could not pass up the exposure or the money. She thought of me to sub for her. Me? She knew I needed this. She knew I needed to display some level of care, generosity, selflessness, all the things that involved me looking beyond myself. Get out of my head. What does she like to do? I text back later. She loves games. Well, that narrows it down, I thought. Dressing up, role-playing, she does it all. She's a raconteur. My ex using the word raconteur made me so wet I nearly slid off my futon. It was time. Time for me to be an actual person again. I would be the greatest babysitter in the history of babysitters. Not since that 80s movie with Elizabeth Shue, the title of which escapes me, would a babysitter be more magnificent than me. I nearly parachuted into my grandmother's home, threw every board game she owned that I could fit into my suitcase, and then headed for suburban New Jersey. It was early, but I felt happy. The little devil was named Kyra. She was adorable. I never understood the little devil title. My ex would tell me stories sometimes about her getting into trouble at school, and now her sister and brother-in-law were really worried about her. I never saw that side of her, not even close. She felt aware and compassionate years beyond her age. I adored this little nugget, and she adored me too. We had met before, multiple times actually. I was a big hit at her 5th birthday party when I let her paint me like a witch. She loved it. Thank God. None of her friends showed up. I was the only person there she wasn't related to. I felt awful for her. It felt good to make her smile. Whether it was the occasional beach trip or pizza dinner or baseball game, me and Kyra would continue our fruitful friendship, and I never saw this devilish side. She was a goddamn delight. We also had similar haircuts, which I used to my advantage in making her like me. "She's excited to see you," the text read while I was on the New Jersey Transit en route. Was this the emotions of Kyra from my ex, or both? Only time will tell, but I was ecstatic to find out. I got there at 3:33, 17 minutes early. The ex gave me the quick rundown as Kyra serenaded me with potential activities, none of which involved board games. The 20-pound bag I had been lugging around for the past 2 hours was worthless. But that didn't matter. What mattered is that the ex looked hot. I mean hot. The boobs. Oh my God, her boobs. Let's stop talking before I melt. She offered to give me money for pizza, and I swatted it out of her hand. Nonsense, I exclaimed. This one's on me. I was playing the whole thing out in my head on the train ride over. The ex would come home during the middle of the night, supremely aroused from my monumental maternal instincts, and then proceed to make love with me for 8 hours. 9, depending on how much pizza I ate. Activity number 1 was role-playing with her dolls. Old, kinda creepy, if I'm being real, dolls. Kyra was playing teacher. I was playing the principal, a role I attacked with the vigor of a late 90s Reese Witherspoon. This lasted about 45 minutes until the pizza arrived. We dove in. Etiquette was out the window. I had been on a health kick lately to run parallel with my sobriety, and this felt like a reward. Nobody says no to Arturo's pizza. It's like if Reese Witherspoon was a pizza. You can't have just one slice. It was 6:30 and time for ice cream and a movie. At least that's what I thought. The plan in my head was ice cream and movie until 8, at which point she would bargain for my time. I would give her half an hour, and then it would be up to her room for a bedtime story. This is what I thought would happen. But when the movie ended, rather than say if she could stay up later, she asked me something. Do you believe in ghosts? When a kid asks if you believe in ghosts, what do you say? Well, I don't know what most people would say. I can't imagine there's a consensus when it comes to this type of question from a child. It must run quite the gamut of responses, but I felt a kinship with this kid, an unusual bond. I think she appreciated my honesty, so I said, I think after people pass away, their energy sticks around because they like to comfort us. What do you think? Adorable little Kyra took a little pause, looking away. She seemed nervous, which was crushingly cute. Her squeeze ability had never been this high before. Finally, she responded, They talk to me. If the previous statement elicited a wide range of responses, this was the opposite because there was only one response. What? Kyra said nothing. She turned off the TV. I was worried. For the first time ever, my adorable little buddy seemed really sad, and it killed me. I asked again, Kyra, what do they say? She pointed to the black TV reflection. I looked up and saw it. Holy shit! I flew backwards off the couch in a deep panic. I turned backwards, looking around, but nothing. It was just me and Kyra in the sunroom. I looked back to the TV, and it was still there. Sitting on the couch with us was a woman. She was dressed in all black with long black hair covering her face. I rapidly turned back and forth, trembling with fear. What the The F's nearly spewed out of my mouth, unable to finish the naughty word as my heart nearly shot out of my chest. How the I picked up the TV remote with my shaking, sweating hands and aimed it up at the TV, assuming that I was having some sort of pizza-induced hallucination. When I looked back at the TV, she was right behind me. Right behind me. I felt her breath on me. The lights turned out. All of them. Kyra screamed. Kyra? I reached around for my cell phone and lit up the room, looking for her. Empty. No Kyra. No figment of my imagination woman in black. I kept calling out for her as I ran from the sunroom to the living room to the kitchen and then up the stairs towards her room. When I hit the top stair, I paused. It was cold. Freezing cold. My throat felt like it was caving in on itself. I continued yelling out for her, making my way down towards her bedroom. I burst inside, but saw nothing. When I wheeled my cell phone back around, it caught a glimpse of Kyra's mirror, and there she was. Standing inches from me, I could feel her breath again. She reached out for my neck, and I, Usain bolted out the room and slammed the door behind me. I screamed out again, but this time I squinted through the cold breaths down into my cell phone, fingers trembling as they found my ex's number and began to frantically type until, Help! I looked around. The sound of her voice had no discernible direction. I yelled again. Kyra? Kyra! Where are you? I heard it before I saw it, the attic door being slowly opened behind me. I turned. Help! I heard it clearer that time. Kyra was in the attic, the pitch black attic. A floating, almost translucent face began to emerge through the black. I could see its eyes, the bright white eyes. They cut through the darkness as its mouth opened, peering down at me from the top of the attic ladder. Kyra's screams grew louder. The house began to shake violently. It was as if everything in my life had been leading up to this moment. Every moment of self-sabotage and selfish act had led me to this, right here, right now. I did the only thing I could do, the only thing that would make me feel like a human again. I got the fuck out of that house. Mrs. Prego couldn't understand anything I was saying. Not that I can blame her. If some random person started banging on your front door and then when you opened it, they told you that a demon had kidnapped your ex-girlfriend's niece. I call the police, she shouted in her Jersey Italian accent. Yes, I shouted, police, yes, call the police. So she did. 10 minutes later, the South Orange, New Jersey police car showed up, and there I was, standing on the sidewalk, waving them down like an air flight runner controller on speed, as Mrs. Prego peered at me through her living room window with manic confusion. I know this is going to sound crazy, but you gotta believe me. They looked at me as if I had 3 heads and 5 legs, then shined the light into my eyes. Have you been drinking? No, I'm sober. 6 weeks. Swear to God. No alcohol, no weed, no sugar, some sugar. The 2 cops looked at each other, their collective eyes nearly rolling out of their heads as they hunkered down and decided to go see what this crazy blonde millennial was yammering about. I followed them up towards the front door, and they opened it, shining their lights inside. The lead cop spotted a light switch and turned them on. He looked angry, really angry, tucking his flashlight back into his belt. You think this is funny? What? What? What's Another F word I couldn't finish. This time it was not out of fear, but confusion. I saw what he saw, what they both saw. Kyra, sitting on the living room floor, drawing peacefully, humming to herself. Kyra turned towards us. Where did you go? She asked sweetly. The lead cop bent down towards Kyra and asked her, Do you know this woman? Yes, she's my babysitter. Has this woman... I interrupted the cop like a lunatic. Tell him what happened, Kyra. About the woman, He stood up and held his hand out, pausing my words in their delusional tracks. I need you to stay silent and still. Understand? I nodded and stepped back against the wall as the second cop stood near me, monitoring me. The lead cop knelt back down and spoke softly to Kyra, asking her what happened. Kyra told him what happened. We ate pizza, watched a movie, and then I left. No, Not another word, the lead cop said. Not one more word. He continued to stare at me. I looked down at Kyra. It was quick, but I saw it. I swear I saw it. I wasn't hallucinating. Kyra just looked at me with her adorable big blue eyes. Kyra, that little devil. Of all the reasons to be in a police station, I was now the one being babysat. Sitting in the office of the South Orange, New Jersey police station an hour after being questioned more thoroughly by a detective on duty. Kyra, as far as I knew, was still home, along with the lead cop, waiting for a more suitable guardian to arrive while I sat here trying to convince the cop that what I had seen that night was real and not some nightmare. They tested my breath and blood for alcohol and illegal substances, but found none. All they found was my apparent insanity. The more I spoke, the less convinced I was. Remember when I said I didn't have some stereotypical rock bottom moment? Well, I do now. And then I heard the words, "You can go." I didn't understand. Go? Go where and how? That was it? Hey, I recognized the voice instantly. It was my ex standing there, looking at me. Let's go. Whatever my ex had said must have worked, because the Looney Tune who had seen witches and TV screens, mirrors, and attics was now being let go, as if none of it had ever happened. I said the only thing that felt appropriate to say as we walked out of the police station, down the steps, into her car, and then into the front seats. I don't know what to say. I searched for words but found none. I would open my mouth and nothing came out. My ex just sat there in silence, staring off into the dark distance. Finally, she spoke. "She will follow you." I turned back to her, unsure of what she had said. What? She turned back to me, her eyes welling up from fear. "The spirit? She will follow you. I'm sorry. We needed someone she could play with. She asked for you. I don't know why she asked for you, but we didn't know what else to do." I exploded with, "It's real?" I was surprised her windshield didn't snap in half when I said it. Every cell in my brain was now on fire as I tried to pick one of a million responses. It knows how to hide in the shadows, beyond our world. Anytime we've tried, it hides. And to think I thought I was going to get laid tonight. Don't look at it in the eyes, no matter what. As much as it wants you to, you can never look it in the eyes. That's how it... She turns away, breaking down. How it what? What is it? We had to pass it on. It was the only way to save Kyra. We just want to help her. And then she asked for you because you were so nice to her. You have to believe me. Believe what? This is crazy. I puked all over my New Balances. We gotta tell someone. I puked again, this time on top of the previous puke. We gotta tell someone what happened. She started up the car and began to drive as I spit remnants of vomit onto her glove box. We drove 2 streets over towards the train station as I continued to rant and ramble, seeking anything that could resemble an answer. But I got none. She just continued to wipe tears off of her face as the car was now sitting idle, until she finally spoke. "Your train is coming." I was shaking like a jackhammer as I spoke. "This is insane. I'm going to get help. I'm going to find someone who can help and tell them..." She cut me off. "Tell them what?" "Nobody will believe you, just like they didn't believe us." I screamed at her. "You're insane!" She turned to me, becoming soft, measured, as she said, "It knew you would run. It likes to chase." Furious, I got out of her car and slammed the door shut. Either I had now completely lost my mind, or I was on the receiving end of an incredibly elaborate satanic prank. Regardless, I was pissed. Walking away to the train, she called to me. "Remember!" I turned back, dismayed as she kept looking forward. "Don't look it in the eyes." She drove off as the train arrived. I had never been this awake in my life. I paced from wall to wall. Who to tell? What to tell them? Nobody would believe me. I was in the midst of a recovery. Now I would derail by telling people what I had seen that night. I sat in my living room, 3:33 in the morning, all my lights on, watching highlights on ESPN while blasting the Tortured Poets Department. Maybe Taylor Swift would lead me to salvation. Finally, I sat on my couch. Family? Family would believe me. They have to. That's what family is for. I stood up, TV remote in hand, aimed it at the TV, and stopped. What if she was there, behind the screen? I couldn't do it. I couldn't risk the reality of it being real. I dropped the remote and headed to the bathroom. Just as I opened the door, I stopped. The mirror. What if she was standing in the mirror? I couldn't risk that either. Where to go? What to do? Who to tell? I was trapped, and then the lights went out. This is why you should never be nice to kids. Just saying.